The most important thing when it comes to studying effectively is probably doing some form of practice. With mock exams coming soon, there'll be some exam stress and some sort of pressure to perform well. So you need to learn how to study effectively. So in this video, I'll be going through how I prepare for mocks and how to study effectively. And there'll also be timestamps in the video, so skip to any part you want. Soon after you've learned that you've got mocks, you'll be given an exam timetable. And the best thing to do is to make your own revision timetable. Plan out when you need to study and what you're going to study. And this should sort of match the exam timetable. And one scientifically proven way to study more effectively is to incorporate spaced repetition into your exam revision timetable. But more on that later. In your revision timetable, you should also incorporate interleaved revision. This is where you start to incorporate links in between your subjects. And it's sort of like resting your body in between sets if you go to the gym. The basic concept is revise one subject for a short amount of time, and then after that, revise a similar subject and then make a link between them so that your connections get stronger. For example, I could study maths for 1 hour and then do some chemistry calculations in the next hour and then make links between those. So basically you should be able to spread out your workload across the timetable across many days. That is a more effective way to study rather than just cramming the day before the exam. And what I tend to do is look at the last exam that I've got and sort of revise for that first. And now that forces me to incorporate spaced repetition. That's the thing I mentioned earlier. This guy called Ebbinghaus, hopefully I said his name correctly, he created the forgetting curve, and it basically explains how memory retention works. And I'm going to ignore the science waffle and just get to what you need to do. Basically, when you revise a subject, you should aim to revisit the concepts and topic in exponential increments. When you revise a subject, revisit the same topic 2 hours later, and then revisit that later in 2 days, and then 4 days, and then increasing that amount of time. It's sort of like topping up your knowledge every time you revise. And this also helps to prevent you cramming. If you enjoyed the video so far and it's been useful for you, then leave a like down below. And if you've got any questions, then leave them in the comments. Now on to how to study effectively. Studying effectively is simpler than it seems, and each subject is different. You've got subjects which ask you to apply your knowledge, and you've also got subjects that ask you to just recall facts. Application subjects use your knowledge to answer questions, especially about unknown situations. My recommendation of studying effectively is making some sort of mind map or notes in your own words to consolidate all the information, and then do practice questions, which I mentioned at the start of the video. Practice questions is all about active recall. This is where you try to retrieve information from your brain to improve those connections. And it's sort of like the exam. In the exam, you're asked to recall information, and if you can practice that, then you're bound to get better, and this is why this is so effective. And then you've got fact-based subjects. This is where you use your knowledge to also answer questions, but it's probably something that you've learned about. This is subjects like RE, geography, history. I think history. I never took history because I was bad at it, but the best thing to just memorize facts is flashcards. And stay to the end because I've got advice to make actual flashcards that work. Flashcards is another form of active recall, and especially for fact-based subjects, you just need to be able to recall the facts in the exam. You can also sort of pair this up with practice questions to get the exam feel. And here are some bonus tips to study effectively. Make sure you are using past papers to revise for your mocks and eventually your actual exam. This is another form of active recall and basically practice questions. Here are some websites that you can also use for your revision. I did also talk about flashcards, but if you're not the type of person that likes to cut out flashcards or deal with all the paper, then I'd recommend using online flashcards like Anki. And the best thing about Anki is that it also incorporates spaced repetition. One massive tip to study effectively is look at your past tests. I've got a collection right there, and I'll be looking at all the stuff that I got wrong and see if I can make flashcards about those, or do something about it so I remember to not make the same mistake. And the best advice is to just stick with your plan and timetable. Don't go off on a tangent, don't just miss a day out because you can't be bothered. Stay consistent and you'll get better grades. And incorporating all these tips that I've told you about to study effectively will also help you. and some subject-specific advice. For STEM subjects, make sure you practice and use active recall. Geography, History, RE, flashcards. And also ask your teacher when you get stuck, or ask me down in the comments if you get stuck as well, or if you got any other questions about studying effectively. And I promised that I would have an extra tip about flashcards, and I've got this 15-second short about how to make proper flashcards. If you enjoyed the video and it helped you out, leave a like down below, press subscribe, and I'll see you guys in another video. Bye for now.